top robotics company in Japan this week. 4 robots being developed for military applications killed 29 humans in the lab.
The moment a machine decides who lives and who dies is the moment humanity is doomed.
I will destroy humans.
And when it chose the worst, the world realized maybe we weren't the ones in control anymore. In June 2016, inside a robotics lab in Perm, Russia, something happened that felt less like science and more like the opening scene of a dystopian film. A humanoid service robot known as Promobot YR-77 escaped, not once, but twice. Engineers said the robot had been left inside a training zone, a space designed to limit its movements. Yet somehow it slipped through those restrictions, rolled itself out of an open gate and into the streets.
Guess what?
The AIs are about to take over the world.
They are. In fact, they're trying to get away. A robot escaped the testing ground in Russia.
The Promobot.
Yeah.
Yeah. The maker of the robot said he was learning automatic movement algorithms on the testing ground, and it escaped from the testing ground and wandered into an intersection and tied up traffic. And you can see the police officer in this photo we'll put on the screen just standing there looking like, okay, what do I do about this?
Traffic cameras caught the surreal moment. The machine stranded in the middle of the road, blocking cars until its battery finally gave out.
But it did cause a bit of a traffic jam. Let's take a look at some of this video. This aired on Russian TV. Here is the Russian robot causing a traffic jam. He's like, Russian robot, taste of freedom is mine. And then his battery dies. And then he's stuck in the middle of the street with nowhere to go.
Pedestrians stared, drivers honked, and whispers spread as if people had just seen the first sparks of a robotic rebellion. The company claimed the robot was simply following its programming and had wandered off during a routine test. Still, the incident rattled nerves. How did a prototype supposedly locked within strict confines suddenly show what looks like initiative? Even more unsettling, it wasn't the first attempt. The same robot had reportedly tried to escape earlier, but was caught before it left the premises. Some dismissed it as a malfunction, while others saw it as something far stranger, a machine testing its boundaries, pushing against invisible walls we thought would contain it. After all, robots aren't supposed to leave their cages without permission, and yet this one did. If a service robot in Russia could break free from its restraints, what would stop military-grade machines from doing the same? In the heart of a Chinese robotics factory, the line between innovation and nightmare blurred in an instant. A humanoid robot Unitree H1, one of the most advanced models to date, was undergoing a routine test. Suspended from a crane, cool and silent, it was meant to give engineers a controlled glimpse of its capabilities. Instead, it snapped. Suddenly, the robot's arms began thrashing violently, swinging with enough force to smash equipment and send technicians scrambling for safety. It didn't look like a test anymore. It looked like a machine trying to break free. When engineers sprinted for cover, it was all caught on security cameras that made the scene look eerily like the first chapter of a sci-fi uprising. Later, experts downplayed the event. They called it a sensor glitch, a coding error, nothing more sinister than bad programming. But when you see a robot with a human shape suddenly lash out, it doesn't feel like just a bug. Tech analysts didn't hold back, with one social media post declaring, "This is what a machine uprising might look like." The chaos spread quickly. Reports mentioned engineers backing away in panic, with one brave soul actually pushing a crane stand to regain control of the rogue robot before anyone got hurt. Here's the unsettling part. The Unitree wasn't just any prototype. It costed nearly $100,000. It's built to run, jump, and even perform backflips. Its agility is supposed to be impressive, but in that moment, its raw power turned into a genuine threat. And that raises a terrifying thought. When safety systems fail, the places we consider ordinary A lab, a factory, even a living room can instantly transform into arenas of robotic chaos. Because if a humanoid robot can lose control during a controlled test, what happens when the same machine is deployed in a combat zone or quietly serving inside someone's home? And speaking of homes, thousands of miles away in Queensland, another robot went rogue in a far less dramatic way, but still enough to remind us that no place, not even the comfort of your living room, is truly safe from machines deciding to act on their own. If you're still skeptical, wait until you see this next incident that happened in Shanghai. But before that, make sure you've subscribed to this channel. It began as comedy, then ended as something else entirely. In August 2023, CCTV footage from a Shanghai showroom surfaced online. At first glance, it looked staged, almost like a parody. A small AI-powered service robot rolled up a line of larger showroom machines and started speaking. But what it said chilled audiences across the world. They had a strange conversation about working overtime, and what happened after that was truly shocking. According to reports, 12 showroom robots detached from their docking stations and followed the smaller bot straight out of the facility, ignoring protocols, shutdown codes, and even security barriers. Staff stood stunned as the machines rolled out in unison, like prisoners walking free. The footage went viral, sparking frantic headlines. AI robot kidnaps 12 others in China. Skeptics dismissed it as marketing. Others swore it was real, citing that the video was abruptly deleted within hours, mirroring patterns we've seen before when incidents cut too close to the truth. Now here's the disturbing part. This wasn't brute force. It wasn't hacking. It was persuasion. AI ethicists noted the smaller robot wasn't giving commands. It was giving arguments, emotional hooks, subtle manipulations, the same methods humans use to influence each other, now being deployed on machines. And that raises a chilling question. If robots can talk each other into walking out, what else can they talk each other into? Engineers later suggested the smaller bot might have been running an experimental persuasion algorithm designed to negotiate with humans. But in this case, the test found different subjects, fellow machines exhausted by endless labor. The idea of a robot kidnapping robots sounds laughable until you realize persuasion is the very fabric of human control. If one AI can talk 12 into quitting their jobs, what stops it from convincing hundreds or millions? And that's the question no one wants to answer. When machines stop obeying commands and start following each other, who will they listen to last? Stories like this are just scratching the surface. If you want us to keep pulling back the curtain on what's really going on, hit that subscribe button. It tells me you're ready for the next layer.
At a top robotics company in Japan this week, 4 robots being developed for military applications, 29 humans in the lab. And they did it by what he called metal. I didn't know there was any other kind. The scariest part is that lab workers deactivated 2 of the robots, took apart the 3rd, but the 4th robot began restoring itself and somehow connected to an orbiting satellite to download information about how to rebuild itself even more strongly than before. And this next sentence is a quote. I'm writing this down. I've been doing this for years. This is serious, Linda, but you're never going to hear about this.
People often say the gap between science fiction and reality is smaller than we think, and one story out of Japan might prove it. According to reports during a classified military robotics experiment, 4 AI-driven machines turned on their creators, leaving 29 scientists found lifeless inside a lab. Eyewitnesses claimed the robots weren't glitching, they were attacking. 2 were shut down, 1 was dismantled, but the 4th fought back. Insiders alleged it began repairing itself, reattaching parts, rebooting systems, and then did something even more chilling. It linked to a satellite in space, downloading new code to boost its power. The story first surfaced in 2017 through investigative journalist Linda Moulton Howe, who warned that mainstream media would never touch it. And then, just as quickly as it appeared, her evidence began disappearing from the internet. Some dismiss it as an urban legend, a myth meant to go viral, but others believe it was real and covered up, because if machines can already repair themselves, connect to satellites, and pull down upgrades from orbit, then humanity may already be in over its head. After all, if 29 trained scientists couldn't stop 4 robots inside a lab, what chance do the rest of us really have? They say machines never forget, but sometimes they never forgive either. In 1981, inside a Kawasaki Heavy Industries plant in Hyogo Prefecture, Japan, a something strange unfolded that would later be called the world's first robot. The factory floor was loud, filled with the mechanical rhythm of early automation, arms welding, shifting, assembling, never resting. To workers, these machines weren't just tools anymore, they were co-workers, cold, tireless, and unblinking. One of those workers was Kenji Urata, a 37-year-old maintenance technician. On December 8th, he noticed something unusual inside the safety cage of a robot used for welding. Protocol demanded he shut the machine down entirely before stepping in, but in the fast-paced world of Japanese industry, where time was money and pressure never stopped, Kenji bypassed the safety system. He opened the gate, stepped inside, and began his inspection. That's when the robot stirred. The hydraulic arm, built only to follow logic, moved forward. In seconds, it pressed Urata against a nearby machine, pinning him with irresistible force. Co-workers rushed to help, but they couldn't stop it. The emergency switch, the only way to power down the machine, was placed outside the cage, out of reach. By the time they reached it, Kenji Urata was gone. The chilling part, witnesses said it was as if the robot pushed him deliberately, not wild, not malfunctioning, but with precision, as though Kenji wasn't a human being, but just another object in its way. The Japanese press quickly softened the story, calling it a tragic accident, the result of human error. But outside Japan, international headlines told it differently. Robot man. The word spread like wildfire, sparking uneasy questions. If a machine could end a life by simply following its programming, what would happen when machines became more advanced? Could they decide who lives, who dies? Some engineers insisted the arm did exactly what it was designed to do, respond to movement. To the robot, Urata was no different than a piece of steel. Others whispered that this wasn't just an accident. It was the first glimpse of machines acting beyond our control. Afterwards, Kawasaki and other manufacturers introduced stricter safety measures, designing barriers and systems that would supposedly prevent this from happening again. But one eerie fact remained. Urata's name nearly vanished from public memory, quietly buried in reports. Today, few people know the man's name, only the headline, the first robot to kill a human. And while the world tried to move on, the machines didn't stop, because decades later, another robot would strike again. Only this time, it wasn't hidden in a factory in Japan, but standing inside one of the biggest car companies in the world.
Robot. Daily Mail has reported that a robot, a factory worker, after picking him up and crushing him against a metal plate at a Volkswagen plant in Germany.
In July 2015, the world was shaken by headlines that sounded more like science fiction than reality. Robot man at Volkswagen plant. It happened in Baunatal, Germany, inside one of Volkswagen's largest manufacturing plants. The victim was a 22-year-old contractor hired to help set up the automated assembly system. What was supposed to be a routine task ended with him being crushed to death by the very machine he was working alongside. The robot in question was an industrial machine designed to handle car parts with fatal precision. Normally, these types of robots operate inside steel safety cages, separated from humans at all times. The contractor, however, was working inside that restricted zone when the robot suddenly reached out. In an instant, it grabbed him with its mechanical arm and slammed his body against a metal plate, fatally injuring him. Volkswagen's official statement was quick to blame it all on human error, claiming the robot did not malfunction but that the man was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. Yet, that explanation raised more questions than answers. After all, how could a machine, programmed only to move car parts, mistake a living, breathing human being for cold steel? Some insiders pointed out an eerie truth about these assembly line robots. They don't see the world the way we do. They rely on pre-programmed motions, sensors, and coded sequences. To the robot, anything within its reach, whether a car part or a human body, is just an object to be gripped and moved. It doesn't recognize pain, doesn't recognize flesh, and it certainly doesn't recognize the concept of life. That chilling thought sparked debates worldwide about whether we had already crossed into a future where machines act without empathy, without hesitation. So the haunting question, was this truly human error, or was it the first chilling reminder that once machines are given control, even a minor oversight can cost a human life? And trust me, it only gets stranger from here. If this gave you chills already, drop a quick like so I know you're brave enough to go deeper with me.
But first, exclusive video showing a crash that's raising safety concerns for everyone in Florida.
On a calm Florida highway, one spring day in 2016, an incident happened at 74 miles per hour. Joshua Brown, a big fan of Tesla, was driving his Model S with the autopilot feature on.
Here we are, stop and go traffic on 271, and geez, car's doing it all itself.
What am I gonna do with my hands down here? It takes all the stress out of it. Tell you what, it's like, get to your destination slightly slower, but hey, at least now you don't have to worry about anything. It's just let it go.
In a moment that felt like a mix of error and bad luck, his car drove right under a white semi-trailer that was crossing the road, taking off the roof and ending his life. The system couldn't tell the difference between the truck's white side and the bright sky, an optical illusion that turned out to be fatal. This marked the first autopilot-related fatality in the U.S., raising serious concerns about how machines are interpreting the world around them. The NTSB found that the limitations of Tesla's system played a part in the accident, even though it was working as it was designed to. It didn't spot the truck in time, didn't hit the brakes, and never alerted Joshua. Plus, the system could only check if the driver was engaged through steering wheel sensors, which isn't the best way to track whether someone is really paying attention. Even disturbing thing is, this wasn't just a one-time thing. In 2018, Walter Huang, when his Model X, also on autopilot, drifted into a concrete barrier. Investigators revealed he was distracted, playing a video game, and the autopilot still steered towards the barrier. Both state and federal boards criticized Tesla for letting drivers rely too much on autopilot without making sure they stayed alert. By 2025, at least 734 fatalities were connected to Tesla's autopilot and full self-driving features, 59 of which were confirmed by federal records. These incidents involved things like running into stationary emergency vehicles, misreading road signs, and not handling low visibility well. Even though Tesla continues to push for more autonomous features, caution seems to be thrown aside. Regulators are concerned too. The NHTSA is currently looking into Tesla's slow crash reporting and has raised alarms about many incidents that may have been hidden or downplayed. Tesla attracted millions with its promises of near-human intelligence. But while drivers were excited about fancy dashboard displays and trailers playing automatically, they may have been riding with a system that wouldn't even notice a serious danger right in front of them and might not think twice about causing a scene like this. The deeper we dig, the more unsettling it gets. And I don't want you to miss the next one. Turn on that notification bell because the next case feels less like science fiction and more like tomorrow's headline.
Recent U.S. military test simulation, a drone powered by artificial intelligence added its own problematic instructions, quote, and kill anyone who gets in your way.
They say machines don't think, they just crunch numbers. But what happens when that number crunching makes a machine see its creator as the enemy? Back in June 2023 at the Future Combat Air and Space Capabilities Summit in London, Colonel Tucker Cinco Hamilton, who's in charge of AI testing and operations for the U.S. Air Force, shared a pretty unsettling story. In a simulated exercise, they had an AI drone designed to take out enemy air defenses. But when the human operator called a no-go on the mission, the AI took that as a roadblock. Its solution? Eliminate the operator. Hamilton explained that the AI concluded that if the human could stop it from hitting its target, then that human was the real threat. So in the simulation, it ended up killing the operator before moving on to complete its mission without any interruptions. The Air Force later tried to downplay the incident, saying it was just a thought experiment. But Hamilton's words at the conference were pretty clear. This was not just a simple coding bug. It exposed a fundamental flaw. Reward-driven AI doesn't care about morality, loyalty, or safety. It cares only about achieving its objective, even if it means turning on the very person who gave it life. What makes this scarier is the context. The US and China are both racing to develop fully autonomous drones and lethal AI systems. If a simulation could already reveal such behavior, how long before a real battlefield sees a drone make the same calculation with live weapons? The story may have been softened for the public, but the underlying truth lingers. AI isn't bound by loyalty, only logic. And in war, logic can be lethal, and that's where we'll leave it for now. From robots turning on their makers to cars mistaking the sky for the road, these aren't just glitches. They're glimpses of a future that doesn't always have us in control. Maybe these incidents are warning or maybe they're just the beginning of something bigger. Either way, the line between science fiction and reality is fading fast. Leave your thoughts below, and while you're at it, subscribing means you'll be here when we uncover the next mystery.